Hello, everybody, and happy Monday, and welcome to this edition of the Racing Insiders podcast. I am Kate Dillon from Crate Insider, and I'm here today with Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines. So Steve, tell me how you doing today?
Good.
Oh, wow, that was. Should I have asked the short answer?
Or? I mean, you just asked.
So anyway, we are here every week. We like to catch up with folks. Well, we try to be here every week. So we weren't here last week.
No.
And why was that?
Well, because it was like the whole snowpocalypse here.
I mean, and the truth is, like, if you had come over here on Monday night, you may have not been able to get home,
right? Because
your road. I live on the main road. I live in town, and you live in the country where they don't clear the roads.
Right.
So it would have been
our road was a total shit show.
Yeah, and it was pretty much that way until like Wednesday, wasn't it? Yeah. So we've both been crazy busy at racelogic chassis seminars for the last 2 weekends. So 2 weekends ago, we were in Tennessee for the crate late model class, and this last weekend we were in Eastern North Carolina for the street stock class, the metric street stock class. I'm feeling really good about both those classes.
I thought they were both great.
Yeah, a lot of great information, and different focuses this year in each of these classes compared to the focuses that we had last year.
Well, I mean, the late model class, I mean, I've been in late models all my life, but you still learn shit when you go there. I mean, even if you are in late models all your life, the street stock stuff where I knew nothing about, honestly, or the metric chassis class, I really knew nothing about it. Hell, I learned a lot of shit there.
Well, but, I mean, really, the street stocks today, isn't that a lot of it borrowed from maybe the stuff that was late models?
Well,
back in the day?
I was joking around with like Robbie and a couple other guys, and I'm like, I'm so glad to hear that like the shit I was doing in the mid '80s on late models back then,
right,
is actually pretty accurate to what you guys are applying today on some of this stuff.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that's what's old is new again, and
correct.
And still applies, and physics doesn't really change.
Oh yeah,
and just how you're gonna take these newer parts and newer pieces and the new technology,
right? And
how do we apply it?
But then there's a lot of stuff I was listening to where I was like, man, if I'd just known that back then, holy crap!
Oh yeah. Yeah, be on fire.
Yep.
In fact, I was talking to somebody today.
Especially when it comes to shock technology and stuff like that.
Oh, the shocks are huge.
Front end geometry, all that.
There's so much of that. Like I was talking to somebody from Montana today, and I was like, yeah, you're going to want this street stock class since you've got a street stock. Because, I mean, I'm sorry, no matter where you guys are at, just the technology in racing, it emanates from the Charlotte area.
Well, I like the way Robbie stated it is technology is always going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a bit unfortunate, but it's an unfortunate truth.
Well, it doesn't always mean money. A lot of times it just means doing more.
The right things.
Well, working harder to find the right information that's for the right information for you.
Exactly.
And matching that with your driving style, matching that with your chassis, and not just trying to copycat. But if you know the why of why you're doing something, I think it can help so much. And everything on the background. Well, let's say hi to some folks. I see Scott is here from California. He said, you get ice and snow, we get tsunamis.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Wow. Yeah, that's freaking crazy. Like somewhere in the middle of the Pacific that had an earthquake.
Tonga or wherever it was.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't an earthquake. It was an underwater volcano exploded.
Right. Yeah. And wow, crazy. And I see Jeremy is here and Mike and Terry is here watching from Princeton, West Virginia. Roy is here from Oregon. He didn't say that, but I know that's where he lives. And Scott says, great show with Mark Garner. Okay, cool. Yeah. That would be Roy's show. So if you get a chance to check out Roy's show up on the bars over on Facebook, I don't think he has it published to YouTube or like podcasts or anything, but you can find it in Facebook. Yep. So up on the bars.
I used to race with Mark's dad years ago. So.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
That's great. Short Track Racing is here. They say, I love the 604. It's my favorite stock car racing engine. Cool. Yep. Cool deal. And Darren is here.
It's actually mine too.
Yeah.
Because it's saved racing.
Well, tell me about that. What makes you think that it saved your racing?
Well, because as super late model racing got more expensive, and even limited late model racing to a point, it kind of provided an alternative for guys who, nowadays can't afford a $55,000 engine to go race weekly and be competitive. So by a 604, you can pretty much go anywhere in the country and race. And, super late model engine again, to go compete with the World Outlaw guys, the Lucas guys. I mean, you're spending $55,000, unless it's just some anomaly, weird racetrack where you don't need that kind of engine to go win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and I see Darren is here, and Jim, and short track racing, short track thing is from Michigan, watching us from YouTube. All right, Jeremy's got a question for us. Mm-hmm. He says, so can you explain how you're going to offer the chassis school by videos, and what's the pricing going to be? Mm-hmm. Oh, that is such a great question. That is, I don't think I can share my screen. Well, I probably could. It's racelogic.vip. I'm going to drop that in. I'm still in the process of editing, and so that's going to take me at least, it takes me a couple weeks. However long the class is, it takes me twice as many hours to edit it. So the first one I think is about 12 or 15 hours. So that's about 30 hours of editing. And then the second one would be about the same. So, and I, in the meantime,
let's say 3 weeks, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping
for the first one or both.
Oh, no, for probably for both. Yeah. I'm on, to put it this way, there are 7 segments for the Crate Late Model class. I've got the first 2 done, and I have 5 more to go. Yeah. And it's already been a week, but then I had another class to record. So anyway, it's a thing. But I'm going to drop that in here, racelogic.vip, and you can see where we have it as an online version. If you wait till tomorrow, I'm actually going to put up a bundle. Bryan and I talked about it, and we're going to put up a bundle, one bundle for the street stocks, which is going to include all of our previous street stock classes along with the new class. And then I'm also going to do a Crate Late Model bundle that's going to include last year's class and this year's class, because I don't think that there's been ever anything that's really revolutionarily changed, but we just focused on different things in the 2 different classes.
Well, it's just kind of the way the class goes, because you get different questions from different people, and it leads you in a direction that maybe you didn't go the year before.
Right. So like and then like with this year,
because like when I started talking the other day, and it's 100% true. I mean, to me, at least it is for me, it's way easier to answer questions than it is to create content. So you can create, maybe this is what people want to hear, and you can talk about that, but then it leads you in a different direction because somebody asks a question that, oh shit, maybe people did want to hear that, and you never brought it up,
Well, honestly, it's a lot like this show. I mean, we don't have it. Well, with this show, we don't really have any structure at all. I mean,
right.
You could really ask us about anything.
Yeah, and the classes are well structured.
Oh yeah.
In the sense that you're going to learn about certain things, but there's just that outlier here and there in each segment that from last year to this year was going to be completely different.
Yeah, and a few things change from year to year. I think that if you watched both of the Spring Smashers for the Crate Late Model class, for instance, if you watched what we talked about with the Spring Smasher last year, and you talk about what we're doing this year, I think that if you watched both of them, you would gain a lot more out of it.
I agree.
By seeing not that they're like different information, like it does, like it doesn't conflict. No. It's just different.
Yeah.
Different focuses. So yeah. So anyway, I'm looking forward to
and things change from year to year.
Well, for sure. So you could take that as a base knowledge and then, see what's changed, from the following year. But I think, I'm looking forward to, I'll get those bundles at least up so people can pre-order them. And that way, if you order the bundle, you could already be watching last year's class. It's not that it's outdated. It's perfectly fine. And then you'll get the addition of the new one once that one is, once I've got that all uploaded.
Yep.
So yeah, but the book didn't change from year to year. So the book is the same. And yeah. I know I always learn something. I always have something to take away. And I always end up adding new products afterwards.
Right.
So that's pretty exciting. I like to really look at Race Logic to get the best product recommendations for what's going to be good for our customers, for sure. All right, let me see. We got some more questions here. Oh, I see Darren's here from Green Mountain, North Carolina. We got North Carolina. Justin is here. Tim Pato is here. And Roy says, oh, we are on YouTube now and launched speeduniontv.com. Congratulations,
Cool.
Roy. Congratulations. That's great. So that's where you guys can check out Roy Bain and his show over on speeduniontv.com. So if you're listening, that's where you can get that. Okay, so we've got David's got a good question. He says, how can I get my motor to build heat on X85? I've installed a thermostat, no fan shroud, serpentine pulleys, and a 4-blade fan. Can't get any heat in, a lot of time pulling on the track at 140 to 160.
Get rid of the 4-blade fan, go to a 2-blade fan would be the first thing to do. And then, the thermostat is definitely, I'm not a big fan of them, but I think we're leaning in that direction to go towards thermostats. So, we've got a part number on a Stewart. I'll actually give it to you.
Okay.
Because then you can sell them on the site, because I think it's we're going to crash test Demi on my kid's car, but I think that'll be the thermostat one.
Well, you've been pretty anti-thermostat for a long time.
I have, and I'm not a big fan of them just because it's another failure point. But I think that the quality of these, I think they won't fail.
Yeah.
And they got built-in bypasses to them and everything else. So.
Oh, that's nice.
Get rid of the 4-blade fan, go to 2-blade. That's the first, and then shrink the size of it. So if you're running a 4-blade 19-inch right now, go to a 2-blade 17-inch.
Yeah.
Which is what we run on my son's car.
Mm-hmm.
And we run that year round. So, that cools it in the winter, wintertime, obviously we're leaning towards the thermostat thing, but, summertime, it cools it just fine.
That'd be good. Hey, do you like, I've got a close-up on you this show.
Oh, Julian.
Yeah. I like it. It's fun. All right, short track thing. I love the late model Sportsman's because the 604 is the spec engine and it has a stock frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Yes. And Lauren is here. Ooh. All right. Chris says, have you tested any E85 base fuel? And what's your opinion on it? Thanks in advance.
The E85 base is fine. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I can tell you that their oxygenated race gas is shit. But their E85 fuel is just fine. I've tested back-to-back with the base E85, the X85 by VP, and the Renegade, whatever the hell they call it. Their E85 variant. And I think R85 is what they call it. And all three virtually identical. If there's a horsepower here and there, it's not much.
Good to know. Speaking of power gain, Don asks, how much, if any, power gain to a reverse mount setup on a 604?
I have not seen any gains. What I've seen a lot of, not what I've seen a lot of, but what I know is it's way more convenient.
Well, and actually, I haven't published this video yet, but I did talk to CJ Jones from Jones Racing Products, and we shot a video when we were at the trade show. Yep. And I'll have that coming out at some point. But that was a point that we talked about, because one of the most popular systems I sell is the reverse mount power steering, which is the 2004-PS kit from Jones Racing Products, and which I'm out of right now, and they're on back order. But what we talked about is that it's not any significant gain. No. It's more about the convenience and just getting that stuff where it's more accessible and instead of having the front be so crowded is one piece of it. And then when you look at cost, the cost is virtually the same, whether you're to go with a full boat on the front of your engine, or if you split it up and go crank to water pump on the front and the power steering on the back.
The main thing I like about it on dirt is the fact that it's virtually impossible to knock that belt off.
Oh.
Whereas, you can get a chunk of mud, you can get a rock, you can get anything on the front and knock a belt off, and then you're screwed.
Yeah.
So, to me, like having the belts in the bell housing and completely protected, honestly, from everything.
And that is an incredible point. Haven't heard that one before.
To me, it's priceless. Yeah, I remember back in the day when we had to run shit off the front of the motor. I've lost races because of that.
Yeah.
Back when we were running fuel pumps off the front, belt-driven pumps, I've lost races because the pump belt got knocked off. So.
A really great point there, Steve. Oh my gosh, we've got Hugo here from Quebec, or Quebec, I think is what I'm supposed to say it. Hard to say. I'm so super American. It is what it is.
Well, yeah. We gotta. Have you watched Letterkenny?
I've watched a few episodes.
Okay, like they pronounce Quebec like 5 different ways. It's pretty hilarious.
Oh, okay. Hey, maybe
show.
Maybe someday we can be famous and have the Letterkenny people on our show.
Awesome.
That'd be super cool. That'd be fun. All right. And Jeremy says, "Oh, thank you. I'm going to get the Crate late model one for sure." Yeah, just wait for till tomorrow. Wait for that bundle because I think it'll be just a little bit more than just the individual class. I think it'll probably be $100, but it'll be totally worth it to get it that way. All right, we got and Steve's close to the beer fridge over here. Yep. I don't have the roving camera to follow Steve's every move, but
God don't.
I don't know. Let's Steve close up. There we go. I have too much gear. I have too much gear and I have too much fun with it. So it's all good. All right, here's a question for you, Steve. From Glenwood Motorsports. On a 602 running X85 with a regulated return, should the regulator be before or after the carburetor?
On a bypass, it does not matter. So, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because like when we build the kit, we usually put it at the end of the fuel log, but it doesn't. It does matter.
If you're running a mechanical pump, normally we put it at the end of the fuel log, so towards the back of the carburetor, towards the secondary side. We still run it there if you're running a belt drive. And so it just doesn't matter before, after, whatever's convenient for your setup.
Good deal. All right. Another question. J.R. Garcia says, what can you tell us about accelerator pump cams on the crates with 650 Holley carbs? Any tips?
I'm not a super carburetor guru guy, but what I can tell you is most everybody, whether it's my brother building the stuff that he builds for us, or willies or anybody else, pretty much everybody's running that pink cam.
Oh.
Pump cam.
Okay. Pink pump cam.
Yeah.
I mean, pink from like what?
That's the color of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you got pink, black, red. I think there may be yellow. I don't remember.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, pretty much everybody's using that pink pump cam. That'd be a good question for my brother, honestly. And, you can feel free to call the shop at any time, and I'm sure he's happy to answer the question for you.
Yeah, because he'll never be on the show. I can just tell you that right now.
Oh God, no.
There is not a universe where Mike Hendren will sit next to us and be on camera.
Probably not.
No.
He'd just sit here looking pissed off the whole time.
He would. Oh my God, it would be. Yeah, we'd have to. Yeah, and even if we did catch him on a cameo cam, I mean, he'd murder us afterwards. So. Oh, I said that word. I hope I don't get banned from YouTube. All right. And Jason's here. We saw him this weekend at the street stock class. And Matt says, any of the racelogic videos pertain to leaf spring cars? In fact, yeah, we talked a lot about leaf springs.
They actually touched on that. Yeah, this past weekend, they actually touched on a lot of leaf spring stuff. And
Ben is just brilliant. Ben Baker from AFCO.
He's awesome on that stuff.
He was really explaining the orientation, how leaf springs are built and which ones are better, and then a lot of different things about where you put things.
And from what I understand, and what Justin said at McCree said during part of his segments that he was doing there, was that he's actually taking a leaf spring car to Bristol. So
really,
he's in the process of building one right now to take to Bristol for the big deal up there.
That is awesome.
So, what goes around comes around, so Leafs are probably going to be coming back around. And we were joking around. He's like, "Yeah, we're going to make Leafs great again."
Well, you've actually said that before about how I love Leaf spring cars. That you ran leaf spring cars
for years, monoleaf coilover stuff. And when I first started racing back in the mid '80s, it was multi-leafs. So I love leaf spring.
Yeah, and then I know there was a really good drawing, and I'm not really a suspension person. My job there is to make sure that the camera is picking up the people talking about the things.
Right.
so as far as the knowledge of it is a little bit outside.
No, I mean, we didn't. I don't think that they got in depth with leaf springs by any means, but they touched on it pretty hard. And, it was probably about a half hour worth of conversation on leaf spring.
Right, and that's just an example of how the class goes into the direction of what people are running. In this class in particular, what I've seen before is we've had mostly people with crate engines, and then this class here was a lot of built engines. I mean,
a lot of 2-barrel built engines.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of takes you into a slightly different direction and what you're going to focus on in that class.
Correct.
Yeah. So great. Okay. All right. Michael says, recommend extensions and mufflers on Beyea headers when running E85.
On for late model, I assume.
Kind of looks like a late model in his profile picture there. I'll see if he follows up here. So Michael, let us know if you get a 602 or a 604 late model.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I really with the Beyea headers, like we've got the whole kit where it's from flange to mufflers, and that's probably the most recommended way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I would take their muffler off and bolt our anti-reversion stuff on the end.
Well, but have you seen gains? I mean,
absolutely.
Well, no, but with their 2 3/4 inch collector,
right?
Then you have to put like an adapter ring,
correct,
in order to be able to make that work. Are you seeing significant gains with that here more recently? I know 5 years ago, yes.
We've never put that muffler on anything we have not seen a gain on.
Okay. So yes, the answer is yes. Okay, great. Cool. All right, let me go back to my questions here. All right, Brian says, what's roughly the seat pressure on the 604 and when is it time to chuck them? We run only a handful of races a season.
Yeah, I mean roughly 100 pounds. I mean, depending on if you're using an on-the-car type tester, I mean, it's going to vary quite a bit. And I'm going to pull that tester a different way than you're going to pull it. And, yeah, I mean, it can vary quite a bit, honestly. Well, but so the main thing is get a tester.
Yeah.
And make the same guy do it every time.
Yep.
Get a baseline from when they're new.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the same guy doing it every time, pulling it the same way every time, you're going to have like consistency there.
Well, and I think you and I have certainly talked before. Let's say you've got a set of springs and they're all testing at about 78.
Well,
right. I'm just saying, okay, just follow me for just a second. That the more important part is if they're all testing pretty close to each other. If you've got one that's like 90 and another one that's 67, that's when you've got a problem and you need to be switching them out.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what I've ended up with is I've had guys go to races and be like, get teched afterwards or whatever and be like, hey, the tech man says my springs check it like 80 pounds on the seat and I can be 100. But I went home and checked it with mine and they checked 95. So it's tester to tester to the guy pulling it and all that.
Yeah, the only really accurate way to test these is a bench tester. Yeah. Because that way it doesn't matter if you pull it or I pull it or, an 8th grader pulls it. We're all going to pull the same.
It's the same every time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, David says, Kate, do you have 17-inch race fans in stock? No. I will tomorrow. I ordered them earlier this week or last week, I guess last week. And they're on the way. They're on the way, and we've got the tracking number, and it's, with shipping, everything takes a little bit longer than you would think.
God,
but
it's been
it's USPS. It's only got to go from Charlotte to here, and they were shipped out Friday.
I was shipping stuff to Pennsylvania a couple of weeks ago for Vicky's awards banquet for the Rush Series.
Yeah.
I did the marble plaques for them.
Yeah.
And I had to send it second day because UPS had changed it from, it was always 2 days to there.
I know.
And they changed it from 2 to 5 days now.
Wow.
Which is just, so, I mean, to get it there in 2 days, I had to send it second day.
No, so I'll have them later on this week. So that's not a problem. If you want to go ahead and order it and then just know that it might be a couple of days. I mean, if you're trying to get it by the weekend, I can't 100% guarantee, but all we can do is get them in and then, get them out the door. So I am expecting them. They're on the way for sure.
Yeah.
And Jason is here. Lauren has a question. He says, what would I do to my carb to run 93 octane from running D98? Runs great on D98, just trying to save money.
Who built the carburetor would be my first question. If it was a builder, I would certainly contact them and ask.
And he's running a 602. He's got that in the notes here.
93 octane, is it going to be 93 with ethanol or 93 no ethanol? There's a lot of different variables there. And honestly, if I gave you any advice, it would probably be wrong, even if I know those answers. Let's just start with who built the carburetor first.
Okay.
And, if it was, let's say David Smith.
No, it's not a built carburetor. He says non.
No, I said built. Who built the carburetor?
No, I know. Like no one. So
no one. So it's just a box stock Holley.
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Box stock Holleys generally come set up for pump gas, and normally they come about 2 sizes too rich. So if it's a box stock Holley, I would put the original jets that were in it back in it. And you may be 2 sizes too rich, but I'd rather be 2 sizes too rich than 2 sizes too lean.
Okay.
But again, I would, if you're running, anytime you're running 93 octane pump gas, if it's, if you don't know that it's, there's no ethanol in it. So non-ethanol pump gas. If you don't know that it's that, it's going to have ethanol in it. So you need to buy a tester of some sort to where you can test and see how much ethanol is in it every time you go to the pump. There's
just so much variation.
That's the problem with pump gas.
Right.
And I understand the whole saving money thing, but
right.
Saving $1 might cost you freaking 100 here down the line. Just
tripping over $1 to pick up a dime. But like one suggestion I got one time from Al Friesen or Al Walters from Friesen is he mentioned, for the guys that are running pump gas, the hard thing is when you've got so much inconsistency in the fuel, if you're spending your whole night just dinking around with your carburetor, it just takes the fun out of what you're doing. So one suggestion he had is get yourself a 55-gallon drum, or maybe it's not 55, but get a large amount get a barrel of some kind and buy all of your 93 octane, if that's what you want to go with, in that barrel.
Week to week.
That way the sediments can settle down, but also then you can set up your carburetor for that fuel, and at least it can be consistent from week to week to week until you run out of fuel. Mm-hmm. And that would be a really smart way to go, where you've got the consistency, because it's the problem with pump gas more than anything else is just the inconsistency, and the inconsistency in the elements that are put into it, the inconsistency in water content, the inconsistency in sediment. And if you ever see the fuel truck at the gas station, do not get gas at that time.
That day.
Because when they're pumping that in, it's just kicking up all the dirt and sediments from everything that's in that tank. Don't get it that day. Those are the tips I got from Al.
Yeah, I normally do not recommend pump gas by any means. I mean, there's certain scenarios where you don't have a choice but to run it. Again, I mean, hell, the wallet's the main reason why a lot of people run it. So I mean, just be careful with it.
Agreed.
And check it often.
Oh, and Tim is here. Tim from Boyd Belt. So it's great seeing you, Tim.
Yep.
Glad to have you here. Tommy's here. He says, what RPM should a 602 be turning?
Maximum, I recommend 64. I mean, honestly, most of my guys that are really going fast in winter races are usually around 62 or 63.
62 or 63. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. With 604 or 64 max. And one of the things we've talked about before is you go above that and then you go into valve float, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Great.
Yeah, you get up around 65, 66. You're right on the edge of valve float.
And
you'll be bolting new springs on it every week.
Oh, there's that. Yeah. There's that. All right. Matt says, what gap do you recommend on the AR94s for a 602 running pump gas?
AR94s actually come pre-gapped, and they're usually between 35 to 40. So I would leave them right at that.
Wow, I didn't know that. So that's a little bit of like work that you don't have to do. That's
with the cutback electrode like that. Yeah, that gap is in that cutback.
Nice. And if anybody can tell me where they can find Autolite AR94s,
we would love to know.
No, but I'm so happy I've got my NGKs back.
Now, I mean,
so happy about my NGKs are back now. Yes.
Yeah, we've got some of those as well. Now, what we're doing on the 604s though is we're using that 3910 plug, which is the gasket seat plug. But
okay, like brand.
Autolite. AR3910.
Oh, okay.
Which that head can run both.
Right.
Both of them. Okay. 602, might be able to get over that gas seat, but I'm not going to try it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, what's the deal with the gasket thing? What are you talking about?
Oh, it's just a crush washer. So flat crush washer. So it's got two. You got the tapered seat, which is the AR94. Then you got the flat seat, which is the 3910.
Which part's the seat?
Where it seats against the head and you torque it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I want to see see them side by side and see what we're. Yeah. Sorry, it was a teaching moment. A learning moment. I know. Hey, I'm sorry. This is like not my wheelhouse. Mikey has a very critical question. He says, how much pineapple per piece of pizza for best performance?
0. That's all.
I'm going to go with like 6 to 7. You know, I do like odd numbers. So obviously, Steve and I do not agree about pineapple being on pizza.
No.
I think it's amazing.
It's a nasty
Steve
shit.
Does not. All right. Here's one for you, Steve. Has Steve dyno tested 602's bone stock from the factory? And if so, are there large variances in performance from one engine to another?
Yes, there is. And this is what I always tell people. Like, it honestly depends on the day of the week the damn thing was built. I mean, 602s are 100% production line built engines. And that means that tolerances can either stack in your favor or tolerances can stack against you. And yes, there is quite a bit of a difference between one to the next. By quite a bit of difference, I'm not talking like 50 horsepower. I'm talking like, under 20. So
yeah, but 20 horsepower in a 602 is quite significant.
It depends on where you're racing.
Yeah, true.
I said under 20. I'm not saying it's going to be 20 every time.
Right.
I'm just saying it could be anywhere from 1 to 19.
Yeah. Oh, Matt Henderson is here, one of the instructors from racelogic from the crate late model class. And his comment, he says, Hommel was convinced that leaf springs would blow 4-bar cars away.
I think now, back in the day, with my monoleaf car, I was blowing some 4-bar shit away for quite a while. But 4-bar was just kind of coming around and new then. I still think in certain scenarios, I think it can.
Wow.
I mean, that may be a controversial statement.
Yeah.
But, if you look at, I don't know, look at that shithole track they had this last weekend down at freaking whatchamacallit.
Volusia. Wow.
If I was in a monoleaf coilover, I'd just be going,
shit. The holes.
Ride around through the holes. While
I'm not bashing anything, but it was like boom, and like they were coming out of the.
While everybody else is ripping their front and rear suspension out of the car, I'd be driving around in my monoleaf coilover car, just perfectly happy. That being said, a swing arm car there would have been really good too.
That was
Z-Link.
I mean, hey, I am all about making dirt late model racing as interesting as possible, and like it was pretty much like, well, can we combine motocross with circle track and throw the dirt late models in it? I don't know. I mean, maybe next time they'll put in some ramps and then we can catch some air. That would be another difficulty factor. That could be fun. Dangerous as all hell, but
say the least.
God, I mean, how much stuff did they tear up a bunch of stuff down there? I didn't watch all the racing or anything, so I don't really know.
I tore up a bunch of shit.
Oh, they did. Oh my gosh. And back to the carburetor, the gentleman who has the box stock Holley and he wants to switch to the pump gas. He says he's running non-ethanol, and so definitely non-ethanol, and he's running 73 jets. If
that's what came stock in that carburetor, then I would stick with it. And he says, you should be all right on pump gas.
He can get a pump made for non-ethanol only. So that's good. Yeah. Yeah, good deal. Oh, Steve Peden is here. We didn't see Steve this year. He says, finally here for a Monday show. Always great info on these chats. Thank you so much for being here, Steve. And
he didn't go to the chassis school this year because he won too much shit in Indiana last year to even bother coming this year. He learned too much last year.
Yeah, he was winning a lot of races for sure. Because I know you were definitely posting, and I apologize, you guys. I don't really post on Crate Insider. I don't really post all the wins of the week and stuff. I know a lot of companies do.
I don't either, honestly.
Yeah, I can barely.
I don't have the time to research everybody that won. So I figured if you don't tag me or send me shit that said you won, then sorry.
We're just hustling parts and ordering and. We're just really, it's always what you focus your attention on. And I want to say I don't have time because it is important.
No.
It's never been a name dropper, I guess.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Guys like Peden would tag me when he won. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't get tagged a lot. I'm like people's secret weapon.
Right.
I'm not going to tell people where I go shopping for parts.
Right.
Yeah. Banks is here. He says, "Hey guys, question. I just got a real good deal on an old style 525 I couldn't pass up. I was wondering what it would cost to update it and go through it." Old style 525.
What we're talking about is the one with the cast piston and the shitty rod bolts.
Mm-hmm.
That is a ticking time bomb. If you want to go like per the fuel rules, and we can change and use aftermarket pistons, aftermarket rods, and an aftermarket oil pump. If we go through the entire engine and freshen it and change all those components, you're basically looking right at $5,500. If you're trying to use the GM components, honestly, I'd have to price it because I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to be pretty close to that because GM is like way overpriced and all their stuff.
Well, if you can get it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's available, yeah.
I know we're still challenged with parts. Speaking of the challenges on parts, I am going to pre-promote something. Usually Steve's the premature promoter, but I'm going to be the premature promoter today. I did have, for anybody who has called me or sent messages asking about Profab headers, and of course we're out. And I was telling people we wouldn't get them till March. It looks like we're going to get them a little bit sooner. I had a great conversation with Profab today, and I have a pile of headers on order right now. And I don't have an ETA yet, but as soon as I have a pretty solid ETA on when those are going to be available, I will start taking pre-orders. And that way, as soon as they come off the line, that we can get those out to you guys. So just know that, Andy and I are working together. Andy and I from Profab, we're working together on getting more dirt late model headers, not only for the 604s, but also the 602s. And, some of this is materials. There's a lot of factors involved here. So that's why I can't give a solid answer right now. I just want to let you guys know that there's some movement on that, and I should know more. Hopefully I'll know more by next week's show. Right. So as soon as I know more, I'll be sharing that, and I'll be, I just don't want to hold on to people's money and then have long back orders. So that's why I'm not taking orders.
Oh, you don't want to be in my boat waiting on fucking 604 engines to get released.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to do you.
I don't want to be in my boat either.
No. So it's just easier for me. Otherwise, to get the calls about when you're going to get them, that's one thing, but it's a whole different thing when I'm holding on to people's money and they're like, are they done yet? Are they done yet? Are they done yet? And I honestly, I got other stuff to do during the day, and I don't want to answer those calls when I have no control over production. Right. But I don't think anybody wants me making their headers anyway.
I know.
He won't even let me paint. He won't let me spray paint things.
I've seen you try.
I mean, I don't know. It's just, I was a YouTube video away from watching how to do it right, but whatever. Yeah.
Alrighty then.
It's also a girl strategy. Oh my gosh, I'm going to try to do this and it's wrong. And you're like, oh, just move aside. Let me do it for you. That works too. Oh, Short Track thing says, Autolite AR94s are plenty in stock in eBay. Well, shit. What happened there? That's crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't usually buy stuff from eBay. I
No.
buy it from my suppliers. All right, so here we go. Colton says, does the 2-blade change your temp very much versus 3? 2-blade fan versus a 3-blade fan?
It can. Yeah, it just depends. Yeah, it just depends on the application. Whether you got a fan shroud, no fan shroud, diameter of the fan blades themselves. There's a lot of different variances there.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Donnie says, question, wanting to convert my Holley Ultra XP from gas to E85. Can I just buy the conversion kit and be fine? This is for a 604 crate.
I honestly don't know because we don't use those carburetors anymore. It's been quite a while since we have.
Yeah, well, I was using those. I'm
not aware of any conversion kits. There may be something that Holley makes that is a conversion kit, but I don't know, man. I honestly, if it was me, I wouldn't trust it. If it was me, I'd just sell the carburetor and buy one that's actually built for E85.
Yeah. What do you find are the biggest difference, like the coatings on the materials, or the difference between like a gas carburetor versus an E85 carburetor?
Well, the E85 stuff's normal. As far as what? Well,
that you can't just take like a regular, like one carburetor.
No, the metering block stuff's totally different in them. You got different metering blocks, different emulsion bleeds. There's nothing similar other than the actual physical components themselves.
Because That's where it's like what's on the inside count is what counts.
Oh yeah.
Because on the outside they look the same.
It's like loving a fat chick. I guess. Or so I've been told.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Thanks. Take that as a compliment. Whatever. Steve Payne says, I bought a racelogic ticket but couldn't go. Ready for the online version. Hey, great. Yeah, well, you'll have access for that, so that's not a problem. Because anybody who's at the live class gets the online version at no extra charge for sure. Banks says, awesome. Thanks for the info. That seems very reasonable. Cool. Well, that must be for the 525. Cool. Jerry's here. He says, hi, Steve. Hi, Kate. He's from Yakima, Washington. And we were covering the country this week here. And Sean says, Steve, do you guys have any used 604 blocks?
I got plenty with big holes in them. I've got nothing worth of shit, honestly.
Won't they buff out?
No, they will not buff out.
There's no welding sleeves in them.
JB Weld will not carry them, and neither will sleeves, unfortunately.
Wow.
But, no, I don't. I wish I did.
Well, maybe we can turn them into furniture.
Yeah, as soon as the price of steel goes back up, they're going to the scrapyard. But
I don't know. I mean, because have you seen those where it's like an engine block that they turn into like a fire pit, or it turns into like the base of a coffee table?
No,
I'm all about some auto parts becoming other things. I mean, just across the room here, there's a wheel that I've turned into a table with wheels on it because everything needs wheels on it.
No, I'm not in that.
I'm such a girl sometimes. Well, because I am a girl. So anyway. All right. Next up, Brian says, what does it cost to rebuild a 602?
At our place, on average, you're looking right at $3,000. It's actually a little bit under $3,000, like by $20 or something like that. But I just always say $3,000.
Average. Yeah.
That's rebuild it, blueprint it, the whole 9 yards. So it's completely remachining the entire thing and freshening it.
Nice. Good deal. So I forgot to ask you earlier, Steve. So what are you drinking this week?
Just Bud Light because they're free.
Yeah. They're free because they're at my house. And
Right.
Yeah, already paid for. And I'm having a Bloody Mary. I don't always drink on Mondays, but
oh my God, you actually, I didn't even notice.
I know, it tastes good too. Yeah. But it's a mixture. Because I tried a new Bloody Mary mix, and then
is that the Bloody Mary mix at Beyea?
No, this is the one that's North Carolina. Yeah, we do, but I had to get through one at a time. It's not like they, and it was a little spicy for me, so I added a little bit of Clamato, and it was thick, so I added a little club soda. So it's a mixture of things.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, I do pretty good. All right, next up, Mike says, on an extremely rough track like Volusia was, could a Willys rollover kit possibly inadvertently disrupt fuel flow?
I don't think so. No, because
the way I would explain that, I actually have a video on the rollover kits. So the whole idea is think about like Connect 4, the game from when we were kids, and it's only like if you turn it over. If you were to turn it over, then that's when it blocks off the things.
Yeah, like in your video, I mean, you can take that carburetor and roll it. Not quite.
Even at 90, it's not going to do it, but at 180, it will.
Yeah, it's at 90, but I think I don't remember. At 95, they start moving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd have to like literally flip the car over.
Yeah, and I can see what you're saying is like with the bouncing.
Yeah.
I don't think that would do a whole lot for disrupting that.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, because they are gravity fed, but yeah, I don't think it would disrupt it. No, it'd be an interesting thing. I mean, maybe to shake them around and see if it would do anything, but it's so fast too that I don't think.
I just don't think it would.
No. And Brian's question about the cost of the 602, does that include the dyno?
I chassis dyno for all my customers for free. So yes.
Yes. Which is an amazing service for sure that you do that for people.
Well, I want them to go win. I don't want them to be wondering why they can't win if they got something else messed up in the race car.
Okay, now Mikey says, what gap should I run my pineapple at? Sorry, it's too much fun. The ongoing joke. The ongoing jokes on the show are pineapple on pizza, whether Iowa exists, and I think there's a couple of them. We got a few more. Going for another?
Yeah, and a cigarette probably.
Thank you, sir. I will have another.
So I'll let you entertain everybody.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's what everybody came to watch me. I don't think so. No, they come here because you're the one who knows the answers to the questions. So you're the question answerer guy.
Shit.
For sure.
Well, you've answered as many questions as I have.
Well, it's only because I know the answers from what you told me.
I will stand right here at the door and yell.
Okay.
You can ask the question.
Well, I can always move the Steve cam too.
You can interpret.
Yeah. And Brian says, thanks. And Mikey says, don't forget the dibs. So one thing that's fun is learning, I'm not originally from the South, but living in the South and having amazing assistant Tori as my assistant. She's from this area, and learning Southern speak is really a fun thing. So in the South, or at least in this area, when you refer to a dib, dibs are baby chickens. So if that's the vocabulary lesson of the day, that dibs are baby chickens. Normally I would think of like, hey, I've got dibs on that, like I get to call it first, or dibs can be the ice cream things, but no, here they are baby chickens. So that's always a fun one. So again, more questions. I mean, feel free to drop them in, any questions that you have. I will have some new products on Crate Insider coming up. There's some cool new gauges from Longacre that I'm really excited about bringing to the table, and we'll have a video coming out about that, and also a new alternator as well. That new alternator setup. I'll get that in, pretty soon here too. So it's a little bit of premature promoting there, or just previewing, I should say. I just like to use that. And and Mikey says, gosh, can't wait to make it back to North Carolina. Hey, we'd love to have you for sure. It was great. Mikey and his wife came out last year for the Cars Racing Show, and the Cars Racing Show this year was in January. And so it's been a busy, busy month. So we had the Cars Racing Show on the 7th and 8th, then to the 2 racelogic chassis schools back-to-back weekends. And this coming weekend, any of you who are in the Pennsylvania area, I will personally be at Jim Bernheisel's open house. So Bernheisel Race Cars, I will be there at Jim's open house, and you're welcome to stop by and see me. And I'll be up there promoting another product that I represent, which is Track and Recover, and it's a GPS tracker that, I mean, just raise your hand if you've heard about a race car trailer being stolen. And I think enough is enough. So worked with a GPS tracking company, and we've developed a solution. It's a solution that's there's 4 million of these devices out in fleet vehicles all throughout the country, and we're bringing it to the racing community. So I will be up there. Jim has stepped up to become a dealer for Track and Recover, and I will be there at Jim's open house. I'm feeling like that's a little TMI there.
It's cold.
I did tell you earlier, like either I need to put on a sweatshirt or that door needs to be closed. So just saying. Now I'm like looking at the camera like, no, okay, I'm fine. All right. Now that you're back, Steve, I have entertained. Well, I don't know. We lost half of our audience because you weren't.
I'm gonna have to pee here in a minute. So
well, then we can just wrap it up. We got 3 more questions to answer here. You can hold it. Yeah. You know what? Let me tell you a story. So we're on our way to Eastern North Carolina. It's about a 4-hour drive. Now we are a solid hour and a half away from reaching our destination. And so he's driving and we're just floating along, and I see a rest area like 1 mile at 85.
I've beat the time on the fucking GPS by 20 minutes.
Yeah, you have
to arrival time.
Anyway, the point
is the most important part of traveling long distance. Okay,
so we're going along. I see that there's a rest area up in a mile. They're coming up in a mile. And I said, hey, Steve, I could stand to use a bathroom. We get a chance. I see there's a rest area coming up. And he's like, I said, I'm not going to die or anything, but, I could stand to use a restroom. He's like, okay. And then I watch as we go right by the rest area. I was like, okay, I'll suck it up. I already told him, I wasn't going to die or anything, but, sometime, not going to make it all the way, but I'll be okay for right now.
And then there's snoring. Then there's snoring from the passenger seat.
Yeah, well then there's another 30 minutes go by, and I see there's another rest area. And I honestly, yes, I understand that. Again, I wasn't going to die, but I just didn't want to wait an hour and a half. And I see another rest area, and I was like, I'm not sure if you remember, but yeah, I would like to use the restroom at some point.
And I lost 5 minutes off my lapse time.
Wow. I mean, you could stop the stopwatch and then just start it again.
No, it's a challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. All right. So we got a few questions here. Ryan says, how many blade fan would be suggested for a 604 application with a fan shroud?
Normally what I recommend guys do, I mean, if you got a good shroud on the thing, is buy that race fan, number one, where you can change blades. And number two, I would buy the 4-blade version, because rarely on a crate car do you need more than 4 blades. I've never seen anything you need more than 4 blades. So at that point, you can pick and choose. You can run it as a 2-blade, a 3-blade, or a 4-blade if need be. Generally on E85, you're going to be running 2 blades, maybe 3 blades in the middle of summer when it's 118 degrees and 98% humidity. But, generally you'll be running as 2-blade.
Good to know. Next up, on a 602 with a Willys carb and X85, what's the best fuel pressure?
We normally run like 9 pounds on our stuff. I think Willie is probably close to the same.
Good. And what fan is recommended for a Henderson 604?
Just exactly what I just said before.
About the race fan.
About the race fan.
Yep. Great. And Mike says, Steve wants as many fans as he can get. All right. Jimmy says, Steve, what size carburetor do you recommend on a 525? Good question, Jimmy.
Yeah. We've run everything from like on my son's car. I mean, of course he's crashed this dummy on everything, but like on his 525, we've done everything from a 650 to a 600 to a 750. We pretty much settled on the 650 billet center section.
Good to know. And Matt says, that's my friend. He says 5 minutes is a small price to pay for Kate's comfort. Thank you, Steve.
What the fuck, Matt? Freaking kiss ass, motherfucker. Damn.
Yeah, that's why we're here, to have fun. So it's all good. But yeah, we're right at about.
Dude, you don't understand. I had it beat by 20 minutes.
And in the end, you still had it beat by 50.
All the cops were on the other side of the road the entire way there.
Yep. All right, Mikey says, have a great week, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep eating delicious pineapple pizza. I will. And Matt is laughing at you. He's got a laughy face, so he's laughing at you. Yeah, it's all good. Matt was brilliant. Had so many great points in the racelogic chassis school. And sorry to keep on harping on that, you guys, but that's just so fresh in my mind. I've had 2 weekends of it, and now I've got about 30 hours of editing time, that I'll be sinking into this. So I will be I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. There's so many things that really blow me away. I always learn something, especially on brakes, because we always think about going fast, but brakes are so integral to being able to be competitive and win races.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's just so much to it. And I definitely picked up a few things this year, learning more and more about brakes. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to bring more to the table on that for sure. And, and William Glass is here. He says, hello, really enjoyed the class, learned a lot, would definitely go back.
Yeah.
He had a lot of great questions in the class, by the way.
One point on the brakes, which, a lot of people don't even think about, a lot of times if you're racing, I guess you don't think about it because you're doing what you always do. But, the point was brought up in both classes. If you're not using your brakes, you're not using your race car to 100% of its efficiency.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. And then the comparison with different kinds of racing, like how sprint cars really turn using their brakes. They're going to be a lot.
Well, they use the brakes for everything. They use them for traction and everything else.
It's really incredible. And just making all the selections about your master cylinder sizes and your pressures and
the master cylinder stuff that Ben talks about is freaking brilliant to me.
And you know what happened after that? I sat down with Ben and he helped me pick out which master cylinders I should have in CrateInsider.
Good. Yeah. Because that's
I haven't bought them yet, but I will be. So
because I remember back in the day doing the whole, 7/8 rear master cylinder and 1-inch fronts and all that stuff, but you don't think about what's obvious after you listen to him explain all that in the school. So.
Yeah, there's always something new to learn, and that's really where I probably picked up the most on the crate late model.
That and your bias adjuster. To be honest with you,
yeah.
that information to me was just
yeah, and measuring the pressures. That was the first time I'd seen that gauge.
Yeah.
So yeah, yes, definitely. Well, with that, I think we can kind of wrap things up. Do you have any last minute thoughts or any words of wisdom to share with the class here, Steve?
Not really.
Oh, we got one last bit here.
Yeah.
Donine says one last tidbit. Mm-hmm. Y'all know what Coors Light and making love in a canoe have in common? Both fucking near water. Nice. And in case you guys can't tell, I really don't even pre-read any of these things. I literally just read them, put them up. Oh, there's a comment. I'm just going to read it. So I never know what I'm getting myself into.
I will.
It's a good one.
I will tell you about Coors Light, though.
Gosh.
Me and Coors Light do not get along.
No, it's one of my nemesises as well.
I can drink by myself probably like on a nice hot summer day sitting by the pool with all my buddies. 18 beers by myself.
Bud Light,
and function perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
You give me 6 Coors Light and I'm off my head stupid drunk. Gosh. And I have no idea why.
Well, there was this restaurant that was closing down in town and they were offering like dollar beers or free beers or something. And so all of our friends and all of us were at this place. Well, what we didn't know is that the only beer they had left was Coors Light. You and I were so hammered. Yeah. So hammered. I think we had to get a ride home.
We did.
Yeah, because, and I had like 2. And I was on my ass. You were on your ass. We had like 2.
Yeah.
So I guess we got our $4 worth.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I can't do
Coors Light and my body chemistry do not get along.
No, not either. And Chuck says, very important words here.
Yep.
Let's go, Brandon.
And FJB.
FJB. Couldn't agree with you more. And that is a great way to wrap things up. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being part of the show. And if you're somebody who's into podcasts, you check us out on the Apple iTunes. And of course, any of you who are live, that we're on Facebook or YouTube. Anyone who's watching after the fact, know that we go live on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'd love to have you join us. We're here to answer questions and have a good time. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. Any last words?
I'm going to go home and watch Ozark.
Have fun with that.
Because the new season just came out.
Perfect. See ya.